Hey guys, welcome to today's vlog. Today it's going to be totally different. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I just haven't got around to doing it. So today I'm going to talk through the setup, the bike, the kit, everything that I use to ride around the world on, and my recent ride, well, I say recent, last year to ride around the coast of Britain. So I'm just going to talk through all of that kit, really, what worked for me and what I would do differently, and then there'll be links to all of the kit in the description. So this next, however long this takes, is just cycling related. So if you're not really that interested in cycling and cycle touring and that kind of thing, this may not be of interest to you, but hopefully it is to some of you. So I said I'll do it, and here we go. So I'm going to talk through everything and share some of the kit. Right, so we've got the bike up in the stand now. You can see it here. I've just moved this saddlebag back slightly so we can get it up into the stand. So the first thing that I'll share with you is basically the frame. The frame that I use to ride around Britain on, not to ride around the world on, is a titanium frame. It's actually made by a company called Varu. Awesome, really small little outfit. Just one guy on his own. His name's called James. He's a great guy. Based down in Chichester. So he has the frames made, and just titanium, really nice. I like the way that it looks and feels. I'm gonna make a separate vlog and where I interview James, and we're just talking about the benefits of titanium frames. A lot of people don't really know and have no idea what the difference would be between a titanium frame, a carbon frame, a steel frame, an alloy frame. So we'll kind of talk through some of that in a separate vlog, but the frame I used to ride around Britain was this frame here. It's a 56 centimeter frame. Polished up, it looks really, really nice. I like it. The group set is Dura Ace. This came with the bike. I actually bought the bike second hand. I wasn't sponsored, I wasn't given it. The wheels are made by a company called USE. They're carbon wheels. The wheels kind of worked quite well for me. They're about 45 mil, 4.5, so they're 45 mil sort of, you would class it as a slightly deeper dish wheel, but they're not really heavy. They work quite well, and these wheels are absolutely bomb proof. I never had one problem with them when I was riding around Britain. So making our way down from the top of the bike, the saddle here is a Physique Aerion, worked quite well for me. Seat choice is pretty important. I'm lucky I've never had a problem with feeling uncomfortable on the bike. It's just a case of wearing some good quality shorts and a saddle that fits. I don't personally use chamois cream either. I've never really needed to. So that's the saddle that I rode around Britain on. Worked pretty well. The saddle that I cycled around the world on, that was a Bontrager. So slightly different, but all sort of standard stuff really. So from the seat, the other contact points are obviously the pedals. On the bike at the moment, I've just got some really cheap Shimano 105 road pedals. I didn't use these to go around the world on or to ride around Britain on. I use mountain bike SPDs, and these are just a really cheap pair of Shimano 520, and these have probably got the best part of 25,000 miles on them, and they're still going really well now. They're smooth and they're cheap pedals. You don't have to buy the best and most expensive kit. If you look after it, cheap stuff will be just fine. In terms of shifting on the bike, I was running full Dura Ace, cable operated. I wouldn't recommend using electronic for a long endurance ride, i.e. months and months going around the world. The problem that you have, if the electrics pack up and the battery dies, you're stuck. Whereas cable, that's not going to happen, and you can just get another cable or kind of bodge it up quite easily. It's a little bit different with electric shifting. Now, what I did want to show you and share with you guys are the frame bags that I used. Now, I generally try and travel quite light. The lighter you are, the easier it is to push the miles, and effectively the quicker you'll go. But you have to remember, there's no right or wrong for cycle touring or endurance racing. It's what works for you. So what works for me is running the sort of frame bags. Now I went with a company called Revelate Designs. They've been around for quite some time. They're actually based in Alaska. There's not many people supplying them in the UK though. If there are, let me know in the comments, but I bought mine direct. Now I'll run you through these bags. You've got the main sort of saddle bag at the back here. This works really well. You can get quite a lot in it. I'm not really sure if they're advertised as being fully waterproof or not. They're not, but they are water resistant. But everything, I used to put everything inside here would be in a waterproof sort of liner. So it didn't matter how wet it got, because everything inside that is waterproof, because I've got it in a waterproof bag. We'll run through the contents of this bag in a minute. The main sort of frame bag here, this is pretty useful. All of my bits are in here. Again, I'll go through all of the contents this separately. This is absolutely brilliant. It's called a gas tank bag. So it mounts up by the front stem in here. And generally I would just have like my phone, an external battery, cables, anything that I want near my wallet or cards or some money and stuff. The power meter that I used, and I currently run now, is a Stages power meter. There's lots of different power meters out there. You've got Stages, you've got Quark, there's SRM, there's a few, there's Power Tap, there's Garmin, and there's different ways and lots of different power meters. But I must say, Stages, I was really impressed with their customer service. You have to be a little careful, because if you get them wet, they can play up a bit. Mine got wet, kind of didn't really work that well. And when I got back from the Around Britain ride, I sent the power meter back to Stages via my shop, Hoops Velo and East Street Cycles, and I must say, incredibly, they just sent me a brand new one. No questions, brand new one. Now that is good service, very good service. So I was very impressed with the guys at Stages. Actually, I think the distributor in the UK is Saddleback, isn't it? Yeah, Saddleback, the distributor in the UK. Thanks for sending me a new Stages. Very, very good of you. In terms of hydration and carrying my bottles, I've just got side entry bottle cages. You can't, as you can see, you can't really take it out with the frame bag there, so just putting them in via the side is a lot better. On the World Cycle bike, I did have tri-bars, and I had the water bottles mounted underneath that as well, so I had 4 bottles on my World Cycle bike. So just looking at the tyres that I ran, both for the World Cycle and Around Britain, I think I used the Continental Gator skins when I went around the world. They worked quite well. In fact, they worked very well. I think I was getting almost 4,000 miles out of a set. I think that's the most that I got. And then the problem that you have is once you start putting too many miles on them and they get thin, they then become very susceptible to punctures. Ah, thanks. Awesome. Have a nice coffee that's been made for us. I never had anyone making me coffee when I went around the world. On the bike at the moment, I've just got some Bontrager tyres. I think I used Continental GP4000s for riding around Britain. So I'm quite often asked what lights I used for a lot of the sort of touring, the World Cycle and stuff, and the answer is I used a company called Exposure. Now, you'll pretty much all know who Exposure are. Personally, I think they make the best bicycle lights out there. Again, I bought mine. I'll tell a lie, I was given a dynamo and a light when I cycled around the world, which I'll show you. But the other lights I bought, I paid full price for. My front light that I use is the Exposure Diabolo. Now this is a brilliant light. It's 1500 lumens, and the battery life lasts for hours. You get 4 or 5. I mean, there's 3 different settings. I never had it on the high setting. You don't really need to. The light is so bright that if you have it on the brightest setting, you will have cars flashing you, and you kind of need to point it down. So I just had it even on the lowest setting. It literally illuminates the entire area in front of you more than adequately to cycle. So I was really impressed with the Exposure lights. So the rear light, I use the Exposure Trace R. Again, works really well. I think it never really ran out on me. I used to use it, turn it on obviously at night, and then I'd sort of charge it in the daytime, and they're absolutely brilliant. People will see you from miles away with this. They're very, very bright. Very good. So in terms of braking, a lot of people now are moving over to disc brakes, and I've got to be honest, I would probably run a disc setup as well. Just the advantage, if you buckle the wheel, you don't need to worry, you'll still be able to run the wheel to a certain extent. And I found I was getting through brake pads quite a bit on the caliper sort of rim brakes. On here I was running, I've got Dura Ace on here, and I think I swapped out my brake pads a couple of times when I went around Britain. Obviously you've got to make sure you've got the right brake pads if you're running a carbon rim. But I think if I was building another bike to go around the world on or do some endurance racing on, I would think seriously about running disc brakes. I think there's no maintenance involved, you just leave them. But anyway, let me know what you think, what brakes you've run. Would you run discs or would you run rim brakes? So let me know. So what we're going to do is now have a look at what I've got in this particular frame bag. So let's get it all out and have a quick look. So this is the contents of that frame bag. So I've got a head torch. I never really used it that much, but you always want to have a head torch on you just at night in case you need one. When I was cycling across America, I was caught out one evening in the absolute pitch black at about 2 in the morning, and without my head torch, it was very, very dark. So without that, I wouldn't have been able to fix the puncture and do what I needed to do to get kind of moving again. Little bike lock here. I mean, to be honest with you, this isn't really going to do a huge amount. If someone wants to steal your bike, they'll get around this or they'll cut it. It's really just more of a deterrent. It's kind of, you know, if someone sees that the bike is locked to something, they're not going to be able to just grab it and kind of run off with it. And that was one of the problems that I had when I was going around. Certainly, actually, when I was going around the world and around Britain on both bikes, when you ride a bike that looks quite nice, it's quite well presented, it's all neat, and it kind of looks like an expensive bike, you're constantly worried about where you're leaving it. Just going into a shop to get some food and drink, you're kind of thinking, well, is it safe to leave the bike out here? And you kind of get a bit paranoid, but there's not much you can do about it. So the lock was more of a sort of a peace of mind thing for me. I've got the Leatherman. This worked really well. It's just a bit of a multi-tool really, but I've used this and the pliers on it to pull out bits of mangled sort of metal and all sorts of stuff in tires and things. So that's a really useful multi-tool. Standard inner tubes. Obviously you need to make sure the valve is long enough for your rims if you're running a deep section rim. And I try to always have about 4 inner tubes on me at any one time. I mean, I think the most punches I ever had in one day, I had about 11 punches in one day. And that, you may think, how the hell do you get 11 punches in one day? But you'll be amazed at, at how many punches you can get. Just kind of bad luck. So you don't really want to get caught out without inner tubes. I obviously had patches as well, so I can repair them. I always used to try and repair the puncher as opposed to just swapping it out. If I was caught out in the rain and the cold, I wouldn't fix a puncher then and there. I'd just swap out the inner tube. But later on that evening, if I'm in a hotel or if I've got the time or somewhere I can just repair it, I would do. I had 2 sort of hand pumps, and I also had backup CO2 as well. That was quite useful. And a couple of tyre levers and just a small park tool just with different Allen keys and stuff on it. I had a few other bits. You can put food in here, and I think I had some electrical cables and things, but ultimately you don't need to have that much stuff. I also had a chain breaker. I don't have that with me today actually, but you do not want to go anywhere without a chain breaker and some spare chain links. I will now take the rear saddle bag off the bike and we'll have a look through this, and I'll go through some of the equipment that I've got and everything that's sort of packed inside here. So first bit we've got is the Alpkit sleeping bag. This is a Pipe Dream. I was really impressed with Alpkit actually. It was pretty reasonable in terms of cost. It's quite a light bag. And actually the service that I got from Alpkit was really good. When the sleeping bag arrived, I bought it in, they posted it to me. it was actually missing its compression sack. So I got in contact with them, and instantly, no questions asked, they sent out a compression sack for it. So Alp Kit, that was a good job there. I'm running an Alp Kit bivy bag. So the idea is you put the sleeping bag inside the bivy bag, and that just means it kind of waterproofs your sleeping bag a little bit. A bivy bag is very much a standard thing. Most people, if you're watching this, you probably know what a bivy bag is. So this is the one that I use. And then we've got the two sort of compression sacks here. You'll notice everything is in a waterproof compression sack. That's just to keep things waterproof inside the bag. So I'll run you through these two here. The larger blue one is literally just my down jacket. You'll need that for the evening or if it starts to get a little bit cold. So it's just a Berghaus down jacket. It kind of compresses down quite nicely. And then the smaller red one, I've just got some evening clothes. If I ever check into a hotel or I need to get out of my cycling kit, it's just literally a t-shirt and some trekking trousers, and that's it. When I went around the world and went around Britain, I didn't take trainers. They're just a pain. I didn't even take flip-flops. I just used to use my cycle shoes, and that was kind of adequate. And that's one of the reasons why most people run mountain bike shoes when they're touring, because you can walk in them. You can't really walk around in road shoes. I wouldn't choose that as an option myself. So I used a Gyro Atmos helmet, both for the world cycle and around Britain. It worked really well for me. It's very light. For me, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think you should ride a bike without a helmet. I would never tell anyone not to. I don't really care what other people do. But I see people out on the road with no helmet, and I just think to myself, you're nuts. Modern helmets, you don't even know they're on. They're so good, they're so light. Why would you not wear one? But, you know, look, everyone's different. So I had my helmet on. I don't think I took it off once when I was riding around the world and well, when I ride in general. So I'm just going to have a look in the tank bag. I kept an external battery up here. This is a Belkin. I think it's 6,300 milliamps, 6,600 milliamps. This was worth its weight in gold. So many times it got me out of trouble. I mean, I basically navigated the world using Google Maps on my phone. But because you're on your phone, you can be on your phone a fair bit, especially when you're going through built-up areas. The battery really came in handy. I also have got the different cables that I need. And I've also got this little device, which is brilliant. It's a little Wi-Fi device, and I can pretty much use it in every country. And I got 20 gig of data a month. That works really, really well. So probably one of the most useful bits of kit I had when I cycled around the world, and whenever I go away, sort of doing a bit of cycle touring as such, is my phone. Now the phone, you can do so much with it now, especially with the new sort of smartphones. I literally cycled around the world using Google Maps. It was unbelievable. Never once let me down. And of course you can do all your social media on it, so you can put all your Twitter updates, your Facebook, you can do your emails. You can even on the newer phones, the cameras are so good now that you can just do all your photography and filming. Pretty much everything you're doing on one device. Now I'll tell you what I did have that was worth its weight in gold, and that is this life-proof case. Pretty much waterproof the whole phone, and it's kind of like drop proof as well, so pretty useful. I also took this, which is my little iPad mini. It was quite useful. I used the iPad mini to type out all my blogs and things in the evening. It's just a bit I probably wouldn't take an iPad mini again, but it's quite small, it's quite light, and it's quite useful for sort of surfing the internet and things. But everything you can do on the iPad mini, you can actually pretty much do on the phone. So I wouldn't take an iPad mini again, but it was useful just to have. So a lot of people ask me what camera I use when I was sort of recording footage just out on the bike, and this is what I use. It is awesome. It's a Canon GX7. It's got a nice sort of flip up screen, so when you're sort of self-shooting, you can look into the screen, you can see if it's focused or not. And as you can see, I fitted the little sort of wind jammer, so as you're cycling along, you don't get that sort of wind noise. This is the sort of the vlogging camera of choice. for most people that kind of create cycling vlogs and things like that. And in fact, it's actually a very well used, very well known vlogging camera, full stop. Brilliant little camera, it's small enough. Just keep it on fully auto, and the picture quality, the sound is brilliant. Very, very impressed with this little Canon GX7, I must admit. So there you go, that's what I would use. So I just thought I'd run through some of the kit that I would wear out on the bike. This is exactly the same kit that I used for all of my trips. So I just run bib shorts, just a standard pair of bib shorts. These were given to me actually, I was quite lucky. These are made by a company called Primal. Never had a problem with them, brilliant, nice sort of padded section sewn in, really good. The only problem with a bib short, if you need to go to the loo, you have to take your top off to take the bib elements of your shoulders off, but yeah, it's no big deal. Just a standard top I had, cycle jersey. This one I've used, this one is quite a nice one, it's just an LG, so nothing fancy. So the leg warmers that I used to wear these all the time, even if it was quite warm. I found they kind of protect my legs a little bit, especially in environments where you get bitten by mosquitoes and things. These are really useful. I never actually took a pair of waterproof trousers with me. When I went around the world, it was pretty much hot in every single country that I went through, so being cold wasn't too much of a problem, apart from a few occasions. And I just had a very lightweight rain jacket which someone gave me, which I still have now, and it's brilliant. I don't even think it's a branded jacket, but it's very lightweight. I was able to sort of breathe in it, and it sort of kept the water out. I don't personally think there is such thing as a 100% waterproof jacket, I don't think. But you know, you guys tell me what waterproof jackets you're using, what works, what doesn't work, and just kind of let me know. I'd be quite keen to sort of see what you guys are doing. I used to wear just a standard Garmin heart rate belt. I just found it quite interesting to keep track of what my heart rate was doing, but after a while it didn't really matter. In terms of sunglasses, I've got some Oakleys. I can't really ride without glasses because I find my eyes get very dry and sore, so I have to have some form of protection on for the wind, and it just keeps flies and bits of crap from going into your eyes when you're cycling along. And that's about it really. I used to wash the kit as and when I could in the evenings. There's a bit of a trick for that. You can just soak it in the bath or the shower in the sink, and then put it in a towel and wring the towel out. You'll know what I mean if you know what I'm sort of talking about. It's not difficult to do. I also had this pair of gloves which work quite well, just in case, I don't know, in the evenings it can get a bit chilly. It kind of keeps my fingers slightly warmer. I also had a pair of normal cycling gloves, just kind of to keep the calluses at bay, but I tend not to use gloves that much, if I'm honest. Okay guys, right, I hope you enjoyed that. That was just a very sort of brief overview on some of the kit that I've used going around the world and on a few other little trips and stuff. I haven't gone into a huge amount of detail. You could talk for hours on all the different things. I just wanted to sort of go over it in a sort of roughly, really, just share some things with you guys. So don't forget to leave your comments or any kind of questions below. If you do like it, share it, but if not, let me know. And yeah, thanks ever so much, guys. If you've got to this point, you're probably interested in bikes, so I appreciate you kind of listening to me and stuff. Appreciate your time. And yeah, click subscribe if you want to. See you later, guys.